guys, it's the Vegan Grandma. Welcome back to my kitchen. This is another kind of impromptu video here. I'm going to make gingerbread cookies, and since it's the holidays, I thought that you may be interested in this recipe as well. This is the first time that I have ever tried to make vegan gingerbread cookies. I'm going to send them to work with my husband, so that's going to be the ultimate taste test. But come with me while we put this together. I'm hoping that it's going to be good. I'm using a recipe from the Minimalist baker's site, and this lady, everything that I have cooked from her site is absolutely phenomenal. So let's do this together. Let's cook some gingerbread cookies for Christmas. All right, for the ingredients, we're going to use 1 egg, or this is a flax meal egg, which is just simply 1 tablespoon of flax meal to 3 tablespoons of water, and you let it sit for about 5 minutes so you have somewhat of the consistency of an egg. We're going to use 1/4 cup of almond butter. We're going to use, well, this is half of a cup, so what is that? Right at 1/3 of a cup, because the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of brown sugar, but I'm using the Splenda, which you cut in half. 3 tablespoons of molasses, 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons of the vegan butter. This is Earth Balance that I'm using here. We're going to use 3/4 teaspoon of ginger. We're going to put 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to put 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then finally, we're going to use about 1 1/4 to 1 3/4 cups. We're just going to kind of play it by ear and eyeball it once we add it to our wet ingredients. And this is just a whole wheat pancake mix. And then, of course, for the icing, we'll do that later. But for the icing, we're just going to use the regular confection sugar. This is what we bought at our grocery store. And then a little bit of almond milk and a little bit of almond. But we'll put that together later. So these are the ingredients. We're going to put our wet ingredients together first and then add our flour. Once we get this together, we're going to refrigerate it for an hour. The recipe says preferably overnight. I don't have that much time, so let's get this put together. Okay, so I'm going to put the flax egg in. I hope that's the right consistency. We're going to find out. This egg substitute thing in baking, I am not really experienced in it, but we're going to do the best we can with what we've got, right? That's just what you do. Okay, we're going to add the almond butter. I'm excited to see how this is going to taste. I've made real gingerbread. This is the butter. I softened it more because it was not soft enough. That's got to be an enjoyable sound. I'll put some background music in here so you guys aren't flooded with that. Okay, so we have the flax egg, we have the almond butter, we have the regular vegan butter, and we're going to add the brown sugar, and then the salt and the spices. There's brown sugar. Don't we put the molasses in here? I'm kind of reading the instructions as I go. The molasses. I love molasses. When I was a little girl, my granny would give me homemade buttermilk biscuits with real homemade churned butter. We come from the mountains of North Carolina, folks. Cherokee Indian reservation area. Anyway, so she would give me molasses, real home churned butter, and buttermilk biscuits. I wonder, it's a heart attack waiting to happen. Okay, let's see. We're going to put the ginger in, which is, 3/4 teaspoon of ginger. 3/4 teaspoon? Okay, we can do this. There's 1/4. There's 1/4. And there's 1/4. So there's our ginger. I probably gave you the wrong measurement before. See, even my glasses aren't doing its job now. Geez, I need to get my eyeballs fixed. A half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, making a mess. That's okay, I clean up my mess. And a quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg. This is optional. If you don't like nutmeg, you don't have to put the nutmeg in. Okay, and then let's see, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. I'll speed this up. It's going to be a long video. Okay, there's a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, and then a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. All right. Okay, so in this bowl we have our flax egg, our half a cup of brown sugar, a quarter of a cup of almond butter, 3 tablespoons of molasses, a quarter of a cup of vegan butter softened, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ginger, a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a quarter of a teaspoon of nutmeg, which is optional. If you don't like it, you don't have to use that. And half a teaspoon of baking soda. So we're going to mix this together with the mixer. This is what all of the wet ingredients looked like when combined. I just quickly blended it with a hand mixer on low just for a moment or two. All right, for the flour, which is actually a wheat pancake mix, we're going to start blending this with about a cup and a half, because per her instructions, it says it depends on how your wet blend is, how much flour you'll actually need. So let's start with this and kind of play it by ear. She recommends a wooden spoon, which is cool. I like to cook with a wooden spoon. And again, I am not a baker at all. I enjoy cooking, but with baking, you have to be so precise, and I've just never been a great baker. But hey, I'll try anything. Just about anything. But I know that we don't want this really, really dry, but we don't want it wet either. We want it just right. Well, we will find out. I kind of want to get my hands in it. Gosh, it smells good. I didn't take my rings off either. Good idea to take your rings off when you're getting in a mess like this. All right, so this is what we're looking at now. I used about 1 1/3 cups of the flour or pancake, whole wheat pancake mix. So this is how it looks. I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for about an hour. So I will see you in a second, your time, in an hour, my time. All right, so we've got our dough that has been in the refrigerator over an hour now. I'm doing laundry at the same time. So I'm going to take this out. It says to work pretty quickly. I have a piece of parchment paper with flour, just unbleached white flour. You can use rice flour, whatever you want. But what it says to do is place the chilled ball of dough on the parchment paper, then flour the top, which is why I still have the flour out. Oh, I hope that's not too much. Don't know what I'm doing here, folks. Like I said, this is an experiment. Then put another piece of parchment paper, and we're going to roll it to about 1/8 of an inch thick. And if you've watched anything I've done before, I'm terrible at, oh, you know what, let me mush it some, and then I'll just roll it out. I'm terrible at a judge of what's 1/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch, but if you roll it too, then they'll be too crispy. This is definitely interesting. Okay, that's as thin as I care to roll it. All right, and it says to dip your cookie cutters. I have a Christmas tree here. I have your traditional, these are just cheap. These are from what we call our Dollar Depot. But I have a traditional little gingerbread, and then I have a bear because it's brown. I thought it would be cute to mix it up some. Trying to be cute here, like these guys are really going to care. All right, so I'm going to dip my cookie cutter in flour. That's supposed to help this thing. There's a gingerbread man. Christmas tree. A bear. Now this says to take the whole paper and freeze it. What I'm going to do, I have my baking sheet out here, a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to see if I can transfer this. And then we'll put it in the freezer and freeze it for about 5 minutes. Okay, I'm getting it now. So I cut these out. They're probably too thick, I don't know. And then I'm working with the dough to get the rest of it, to use all of it. And it is way too soft now to pick it up and place it on a baking sheet. So what I am going to do is, it says to lift the entire thing like this and then put it in the freezer for 5 minutes so that I can pull this off and use the rest of the dough. So we're going to do that. This is work. All right, working quickly here. I have had these in the freezer for 5 minutes. It says to give them 2 inches. And again, you guys know I am no good with measurements. Oh goodness. Oh boy. I've got my bowl of flour here in case I need to flour this spatula because you can see how sticky this is. Ah! Okay, give you guys something to laugh at. That may be a funky looking one. I could just use my hands. I think I'm giving it enough room to spread. And I preheated the oven to 300 when I took the ball. Oh no. Well, when I said it was an experiment, I definitely meant it was an experiment. Okay, hopefully we're going to be okay. So I'm going to put this in a 300-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll see how these turn out. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right out of the oven. And this is after about 10 minutes at 350. I think I said I preheated the oven to 300, which I did. I then increased it to 350 after looking at the recipe. And we're going to let these sit on the baking sheet for probably about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to move them to a cooling rack. And then we will fix the icing and ice them up when they're cooled down. So this is where we are at this time. They're cute.